I practice polygamy.
We're getting into this quick. Okay.
I want to know. So he has been teasing me about this specific episode, and we couldn't do it until we actually had the first premiere with all 6 of us first. But he's been teasing me with these questions he apparently has, and he was like, I'm so excited about it. And then I'm like, what the fuck is it? And he's like, well, I can't tell you until the fucking thing starts. So here we are. What do you have?
One second.
One
second. This thing, it's just trying to fall.
Oh, make it not fall.
That's the plan. That's the plan. Yeah. We tried that. Perfect. Okay. What were you saying? Oh yes. So polygamy.
Yes, polygamy.
I kind of want to ease you into the question and ask some general basic questions about polygamy first. So, first of all, just give me a broad overview how you feel being in a polygamous relationship.
First, I feel I love, it's a thing where it's like how you feel about being in a monogamous relationship. It's just something you do, right?
It's just
so I can say I love it because I do, but that can be said about any relationship you're in. To be completely honest with you. But particularly, polygamy is complicated. So there's a lot of ups and downs, but it's worth it if you are with partners you trust.
So it does kind of have the same feeling like you go through your life falling in and out of love. So falling into love into a polygamous relationship still feels generally
it's people have this misconception that your heart is finite. So I can only love this person a certain amount, and then that's it. I don't believe that's the case.
I think a lot of that comes from because of a fear of cheating. You hear someone with 2 people and people think that, but I feel like if you how would you try to explain to someone polygamy without in order to get them to be like, you know what, that makes more sense?
Okay. Story time. So before our third arrived, right? My girlfriend and our third were just friends, right? And things were difficult for her at the time. One day I was visiting them, and it came to a point where she was really hurt, the one that wasn't a part of the relationship at the point in time. And she needed someone to be there for her, right? And because I wasn't really in her life like that at that point, I couldn't do that. But she could do that. It's not about 1, 2, or 3. It's about sometimes I just, even if I want to be the person that's able to help, sometimes I'm not that person. But when I'm not that person, she is.
So then in the context of your relationship, your girls fell in love first?
They were together before I was. Actually, and she'll let you know, they were actually together just then. Before I was involved.
Really?
Yeah, they said that I couldn't be there.
Oh.
Yeah.
By the way, as context for the audience, one of them is here, so the pressure's on for Zach as to what he says for his answers.
Yes, I can get hits or something thrown at me at any moment in time. It's a very dangerous scenario.
That is interesting though that you said that, because I was going to ask so, like you said, the way you described it is the heart isn't finite, right? You can share love amongst people because, that's just kind of how humans and emotion works.
Right.
We're a boundless species. So this is a whole triangle, you would say, with each side being equal. This is A.
Yes.
Now, when like, let's say your girls are arguing. Does that, and like, obviously tensions rise on one side. Does that just affect the whole
It
way around?
really does. It's never a point where like one side can be turbulent and it doesn't affect the other. All of it are it's a triangle. Each part is connected, right? So if one wobbles, then it wobbles the entire thing.
One person's upset.
Yeah,
It just, it's like it's a chain reaction.
chain reaction. The whole thing. It's a
Okay.
yeah. It's a reaction of
That's why I get upset a lot.
honey, honey. You don't have. No one can hear you. We're just sitting.
I'm talking to him.
For context, audience, she's just
She's
going
explaining.
into depth.
I am experiencing.
So it's very much a rebound where it's
Yeah.
like,
It's, it's when you're like with someone you like, right? And something happens between you two, that's it doesn't just magically go away, And sometimes if it's really like intense, it affects other parts of your life. Right? Even if you don't want it to. But when it's a scenario with your life is right in front of you, like I live with both of them, right? So anything that happens, it's not something that I get to just, okay, hopefully I don't see that other person tomorrow and it won't affect
You'll
them.
blow over.
My emotions immediately react to their emotions and their emotions immediately react to mine. And because we all see it, it's something we low-key have to be very conscious and careful about. There's a lot of emotional maturity that has to go into it. Sometimes one of us is acting more childish than the other. But I always can appreciate that regardless of who it is at the time, one person always decides to, hey, maybe I should step up this time and make the boat go back steady.
Okay. Yeah, no, like you said, like obviously you can't just expect it to blow over. And that is like a very important value in relationships, to actually face what you're doing, which would you say that's like easier or harder when you have three people? Because I imagine like if you do something and one of them doesn't say something, someone else, the other one will, right?
I get upset.
See, that was a problem I had with my relationship, was that we often were just like, let's just not think about it and it'll blow over. And then it was like, that's a stupid ass idea. Because, but, hey, shit happens, I guess.
It's because no way of, and I genuinely believe this, no way of loving someone is superior than the other. So some methods work for different people, right? If it comes to a point where like you guys don't talk about it, but the next day the waters are actually calm, then as long as the situation is resolved someday, I don't see much of a problem with it. But if it's something that's still in the back of your mind, like
And persistently being just pushed back.
after what this bitch said yesterday, like it,
Yeah, no.
if that thought is still in the back of your mind, even if you don't say anything about it, then it just makes it more easy for something else to come up, and then it just starts to pile on.
That's true. That's very true. Like, because I feel like in my relationship that did happen often, where it was just like, it'll just keep coupling on if you don't just tackle it. So I entirely get you. All right. Well, I think I've relatively easier, and I actually do kind of wish Bree was here as well for this, because I feel like having both people for this question is going to be way funnier to see. Okay. So
What is this?
I'm not going to assume about how any three of you want to live your future.
Okay.
Right? But let's say one day you guys want to have a kid.
Okay.
Who bears the child? Do you just go ham on both until
both.
someone has
Oh yeah.
Now, and if you have two kids, you just deal with that?
that's first of all something everyone should know about me. I want kids. I want so many kids. The minimum kids I want is 6.
Oh my god.
And that's not a joke. That's not a joke. That's 3 for each. Did you know this?
Yes.
Yes, and the other one knows this too. I want minimum 6 kids. I think at the end of the day, you're looking at me crazy.
Go on.
But I think at the end of the
Christmas gonna be expensive.
yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
This shit better take the fuck off, man.
I think at
6
the end of the
kids?
day, regardless of like how successful I am in this endeavor or any other endeavor, how rich I am, how poor I am, how many friends I have, how many people like me, how many people hate me, whatever. At the end of the day, when I'm an old man, when I'm on my bed, when I'm about to die, how many people are going to show up? How many friends will I have broken off my connections with? How many new connections will I have made? How many of those, all those experiences I thought I would never stop talking to somebody and then it just didn't matter? Because at the end of the day, I feel like that's what matters the most. When I'm on my deathbed and before I close my eyes, who's going to be there? And most of the time, as long as you treat them right, family is.
Okay. But 6? Like that, you want to raise 6 kids? I mean, I guess with 3 parents it'd be a little easier. That's 2 for each, but damn.
6. I want at least 6. Yes. I've always
At least.
at least 6. I've always loved. Have you ever watched what's that Netflix show? It's like I don't know what it's a long fucking title and it's like everything that could go wrong did go wrong or like unfortunate adventure of an unfortunate events or something. And it's I don't remember the fucking show name, but the kids. It's about these kids. They're adopted parents. They live in an adopted house and like. Well, they live in a house, and all the kids in there have been adopted, and it's like 6 of them, 7 of them, 8 of them, whatever, and it's just all of them just being family. Their parents are gone; they got kidnapped or something. I don't remember the fucking plot, but they depended on each other to get through whatever the fuck was happening. I guess some of the kids got kidnapped or something. I don't remember what the story was.
Gotcha.
But my point is. I always admire shit like that. I like big families. I like that. I like when I like families being able to depend on each other. I always kind of hated being a single child until I realized that it didn't really matter much because my family was always around me growing up until I was ready to stand on my own 2 feet. But let's say I have 2 boys, it'll be nice if both of those boys around the same age can depend on each other. What if one is getting bullied? What if one needs a pep talk? What if one needs to learn how to talk to girls? What if one is popular and the other isn't? What if one is smart and the other isn't? What if one is more, regardless of what it is, it would always be nice that one of them can depend on another of them. And 6 kids, I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like 6 is just the perfect number for me. I would be satisfied with 6 kids, but I want more. I want as many. I'm adopting. That's something I'm 100% going to do. I'm adopting. I want as many kids.
So you want
I
like
can.
what the fuck's that movie called? So, okay, well then on that. So you said obviously she knows and that Bree knows as well.
3-3.
And this is, you like the idea of 6 kids as well?
As long as I don't have to have all 6 myself.
That's oh my god, raising 6 kids alone, dude. Nah.
I need to have them myself.
Oh, have them yourself. Yeah, no.
I want my head.
I truly do not care, regardless if they are bloodborne or not.
Which is very nice.
If all 6 of my kids happen to be adopted, I will still be very satisfied. I will be happy. Nothing will change for me. So, truly, if either of them don't want to have babies physically, I don't care. That's not what I care about. I care about them still willing to be a mother to my kids. All of them.
That's really wholesome.
I know you want the
Okay.
yeah. If that was what it was, that is easy mode.
Damn,
easy mode.
Huh. I did not think you would have thought of that already, I guess, but You had way more in depth of an answer than I expected. Well, that's really the bulk of what I had.
Family man.
I am. My goal in life is to have children.
I guess I can kind of see that based off of talks we've had in the past. I suppose that that kind of checks out. I suppose.
I mean, what is your goal?
My goal? You talking about with
like,
family
and-
specifically?
And, no, not just family, just end goal. You know?
There's a lot of people out there who would take a page out of Bruno Mars's book and say, "I want to be a millionaire so freaking bad." That's not me. I'm gonna take a page out of Drake and Trey's book and say, I just want to be successful.
Okay.
Like, I don't really care about being like some elite. Like, I could buy up 17 mansions if I wanted.
What is being successful to you?
What is
For
being
me,
successful to you?
For me, being successful, like, my personal goal is I want to be able to make sure the people around me, like the people who've taken care of me, my mom, my grandfather, my grandmother, I want to make sure they can live the rest of their lives happily, which especially, like, I feel like the pressure has kind of mounted as I get older because my grandparents are going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And so the only thing I want for them is to have some aspect of luxury. Like, obviously, not like we don't have to have some 17-room mansion with
Right.
like 4 Corvettes in the garage. I'm just talking like, they don't have to, like, we don't have to worry about money at the end of each month because rent nowadays is like $1,200 a month, and like insulin is fucking crazy, and my grandfather has diabetes and shit like that. Like, I don't want to have to worry about that anymore. And if I can be the reason that my mom didn't have to work, I would love that, because she's worked for me my whole life rather. So that's what I consider success, is to be able to support the people who've supported me.
That's such an exemplary goal. That's an honorary goal. I always I feel like you don't always need reasons to pursue what you want to pursue. Like, if you want to be rich just to be rich, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I also feel like when people have a reason for their desires, it makes their drive more intense.
Yeah, because, like, it's one thing to be like, I want to go to the finals of this thing just because I want to go to the finals of this thing, versus, I've been working at this my whole life, and my fucking mother with cancer wanted to see me with that medal or something, and it's like, I want to do that for her. Type shit where it's like, some things give you that drive, and some people just want to do things just to do them, realistically.
A wise man once said, the only difference between want and need is the reason. If you want something, right, regardless of what it is, well, you don't need it until there's a significant reason for you to need it, right? If I don't want to live, then I don't need air. I don't need water. I don't need anything at that point.
Yeah.
But if I want to provide for my family, if I want for them to have a life with non-stress over bills or medicine or anything like that, then I need money. Mm-hmm. That want for money then becomes a need. It's the reason that dignifies or signifies what want is and a need is, and that's that drive for success. I feel like that's amazing goal. That's an amazing one. I want that goal for myself as well. Something that, because I obviously I want my family to be well off in their own right, and if I imaginary life with everything that has ever gone right, then even like my extended family will all be able to have like someone to depend on, maybe a house, a car.
Yeah.
But damn, bro, that's a nice goal. That's a nice goal to have.
Yeah, there's some things where it's like, one specific thing I would love to be able to do, which I'm not sure I'd necessarily be able to, but my grandfather has always really loved Mustangs. He actually, I think his very first car was a Mustang, but it was in a wreck, so he only had it for like a few years. And whenever we're driving somewhere and he sees one, he always talks about it. He always talks like that's a beautiful car. Like whenever he hears that rumble, he's like, I love that. And I'm just like, I would love for him to have one before he passed away, to just drive around in, just summertime, roll down the windows and just fucking fly. Like I would love for him to be able to do that, and if I could afford him that, that'd be great. But just stuff like that. Like I'm the kind of person who I definitely don't avoid thinking about what my future will hold, because I think it's a bad thing to not necessarily think about your future. I know some people are like, oh, well,
let it happen.
Stay in the present, I think that's good too.
I think that's a little naive, but I don't find it necessarily a horrible main thing. I don't think I find it a great thing either.
I think it's just a threshold where it's like, it's great to think about your goals, your wants, but don't get anxious over it. Don't think about what you want to achieve, and not necessarily like what are the stepping stones to do it. But don't like think about like, oh man, like am I even gonna live that long? Like crazy shit like that. So there's some things that like I've never really thought that much about family, like in terms of creating a family of my own. Like whenever asked like, do you want to have kids someday? I'm just like, no, probably not. But that could always change.
Yeah, you're young.
So I don't know.
We're all young.
I feel like there was a time where I was like, yeah, maybe I would like to have a kid. And that's because when I grew up, so it was just, for most of my life, it was my mom and I. But we were always watching other people's kids. I have like 4 sisters. They're not my sisters. But to this day, I'll call them my sisters.
Okay.
Because 2 of them, my older sisters, who we might talk about in a podcast one day, if you remember why. I don't know. Well, maybe one day. But
I remember why.
yeah, those girls were a huge part of raising me, though, as a youngin'. And so I'll always call them my sisters. And then the 2 younger sisters that I've never talked to you about, I basically had to raise them. Like one of them was a baby when I first met them. So sometimes I think back to those days, like helping my mom watch these random little kids that her friends would drop off. And I'm just like I think about all the sweet little memories. And I'm just like, maybe I would want to have like a daughter or something one day. But then I'm like, man, I ain't about to change no diapers, man. Fuck all that.
The one thing, what's crazy? I'm about to make a couple people mad probably. What's crazy? The one thing where I'm like, I want kids. I want 6 kids at least. I don't want a daughter.
You don't want a single daughter?
I don't want a single daughter. I ain't gonna lie to you. If I end up having a daughter, hey princess, if you're watching this, daddy loves you.
Yeah, show her this like 10
I
years from
love you, okay? You were a happy accident, but you were an accident, okay? Listen, I just feel like with today, right? There's always a possibility of like, I don't want my daughter to be a hoe. I don't want my daughter to be a hoe. That doesn't mean I won't love my little girl with my whole heart. I just would prefer if at the end of the day, like, I had 6 sons.
Okay.
Just to, because I know I'm going to be the type of dad that worries about boys.
Okay.
I don't want no hoes.
But I feel like that's not what we left off on, but I'm not sure.
Whoa, what is that supposed to mean? My kids will be just like me.
Yeah, that's the problem. Your sons are going to be, you're going to have like 24 grandkids, dude.
First of all, fuck both of you. My kids will be virgin priests.
So you did want to be a priest. I knew it.
I don't know where you got this idea.
I don't know where that came from either.
I wanted to be a priest.
Ooh. You even mentioned that when we played Pokemon Go the one time.
Shut up! What is wrong with
that's
you?
I'm just